Heisman Trophy winners haven't really translated to the NFL consistently, although better track record as of late, Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota, for example. We're going to have two Heisman Trophy winners go in the first round, most likely in this year's draft. You got Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield, who was next in our 2018 NFL Draft Film Room series. Brennan Albert is here. I am Adrian Fedke. So we just did one quarterback with a personality that you either love or hate, and we got another one now. You either love him or you hate him.
Yeah, Baker makes no excuses. He is who he is. You know, with Rosen was asked, I think ESPN asked him or someone asked him, what's your goals? And he said, well, if Brady wins 6 championships, I want to win 7. Okay, that's fair. What do you expect him to say? Baker, if you ask Baker that, Baker would be like, I'm going to win 105, and if you don't believe me, I'm going to burn your house down. Because Baker is a little bit crazy, and you know what? You're either all in or you're not in on him at all.
Yeah. All right, so the first thing I want to start with right away, I want to talk about his arm strength because it's very underrated. And I've seen commenters in other videos and, like in basically the highlight videos that I get this information from, like the draft breakdown where they play every clip of every game basically. And I see a lot of people who hate Baker Mayfield, and they say that, well, he's got no arm. There's an assumption made just because he's 6 feet tall that he's got no arm. Well, let's take a look at this first throw. Actually, these first 2 throws. This is a 60-yard dime right here.
Yeah, this is a big boy throw. Now, the one thing I will say, yeah, he has the opportunity to crow hop into this right here. But, I mean, this is a freaking strike, dude. I mean, this is that in your biggest rivalry in Oklahoma and just getting, Texas getting their butt with most years. But this is a big boy throw, man. Reset your feet, come up. Not to throw a strike down the field, man. This is an awesome ball. Is Baker having that arm power that Drew Brees has? No, I think that's a little much of a farce. I think that's a little too much. But I think Baker's got a plenty strong enough arm.
Yeah, I'm with you. And, you talked about taking the little crow hop. All he did was take one step into this, and he just uncorks this thing. 60 yards, perfect throw, right into the lap of the wide receiver. And we see one more example of it here. So this one goes like 55. Perfect trajectory, drops it in the lap of the wideout, and there's another 6 points.
Yep, Boomer Sooner. They're bringing that stupid-ass Sooner thing out in the field. But, I mean, look, arm strength is fine. I mean, I can't say that it's necessarily elite. It's not Josh Allen. Let's not get crazy.
Yeah.
But it's better than, it's better than Kirk Cousins. We'll put it that way. And Kirk Cousins is laughing his way to the bank right now.
Yeah. Yeah, the reason why I bring it up, again, it's like it's because of the assumption that's made with him just because he's 6 feet tall. That doesn't mean you can't get it out there.
Right.
So there you go. All right, next thing we're going to see, this is another dime. Back of the end zone, the ball placement, absolutely perfect. And there's that Boomer Sooner. He's coming back on the field. Yeah,
touch here. All about the touch throw. Put it up high where the big kids can get it and the little kids can't. It's a great job here and let your tight end go over the middle.
Yep. All right, so the thing about Baker, since he is a little bit smaller, and we see this with Drew Brees as well, having to use his eyes to manipulate defenders, and the next clip we're going to see where he has to use his feet to open up throwing windows, but he uses his eyes as good as any quarterback in this draft.
Yeah, I would say that's a really fair comparison, a very fair statement to make, I should say. He does use his eyes really well to manipulate the defenders, make them move laterally. But the next clip here against TCU is a big one. This one against Georgia, obviously in the Rose Bowl and the granddaddy of them all, is a great job here of him throwing the ball after he moves the defenders. But this TCU tape, guys, watch his ability on this next clip of how he's going to be able to move in the pocket to get to the nice throwing window for him to make a move. Right now, not perfect. Make a slide, boom, nice window, make a throw. These are the things here that limit the concern of, oh, well, he's not 6'3". How's he going to see over the offensive lineman? If you can move like right there, get into a nice throwing window and make a strike, you can make things happen.
Yep. And this is what Drew Brees does. This is how he creates open windows, by sliding his feet, finding the open window, and getting completions.
And big pocket awareness, right, Adrian? Yep. I mean, this is something we said we weren't happy with Rosen. This is a great thing that Baker does a good job at, is moving in the pocket.
Yep. And as we know, I think most people do know this, he's got some scrambling ability. He can make things happen.
Yeah.
in the backfield when the pressure comes, and we see an example of this here. Eludes pressure, steps up, finds the tight end.
Yep. Eludes pressure, steps up, keeps his eyes downfield, sets his feet, throws a strike. Yep. I mean, this is really what we talk about as an ability to make throws off script. Rosen doesn't have this. Baker has it in spades.
Yep. And we're going to see another example right here. I mean, you talk about the creativity and the ad-libbing ability. Well, one more time here. So he sees the number 4. Is that wide out running back? I don't know who that is. But let's see. Who is number 4? Looks like a wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, look, when we watch this Ohio State game, he's playing an NFL team. This is an NFL team. Okay, let's be honest. This is an NFL defense. So his ability to make things happen and throw the ball in tight windows in this game and be able to stake his flag right in the middle of the Ohio State 50-yard line, which I think was awesome. It all shows that his ability that he can make plays against NFL teams.
Yep. All right. So we're going to see some examples of some bad of Baker Mayfield. And by the way, just to let you guys know, out of all the quarterbacks that we've done so far, it was a lot harder for me to find bad on Baker Mayfield than these other quarterbacks. So we're going to be really not grasping at straws per se, but we're really nitpicking Baker more than anybody.
Now, here's the 2 ways you can look at it. Well, no shit, Adrian. It's hard to find flaws against a guy who won the Heisman Trophy. Or you could look at it the way a lot of people do. Like one of my mentors that I had the privilege of learning a ton under when I worked under him at IMG, and Anthony Becht, he schemed open. I mean, his offense is completely scheme-friendly for quarterbacks here. So this clip here, okay, let's take a peek at it. Does a good job here of using his eyes, but doesn't really get his feet underneath him completely. As you kind of see here, kind of throw this one a little bit off the back foot. It looks like here gets a little bit too excited that he sees it open and doesn't really get his feet set, get that left shoulder pointed towards the target. Instead, kind of throws the Matt Stafford sidearm situation. Now, he never really gets his feet under him. I still think Baker has better feet than most guys in this draft, but he has a tendency of getting a little bit too excited and forgetting to set his feet.
All right, the next thing that I saw on tape, now this is something that you normally don't want to see out of your quarterback, where he's kind of flushing left and then throwing back to the middle of the field. But this is something he did so consistently, and he was so accurate doing it, that I almost hate knocking him for it. But there are examples where he does go a little overboard. This is not one of them.
I appreciate the fact, Adrian, that you admit, hey, it's not something that I really knock him for, because I do. Because I have a big freaking issue with this. It's simple football. Roll left, throw middle, do not throw right. And that's exactly what he does. Roll left, throw right. Yes, he gets away with it here. Okay, but you know what? You might get away with it. But the other 9 of the 10 times you try to throw this, it's going to be picked, dropped, tipped. Bad things are going to happen. So to me, I don't love this, but you know what? When you draft Baker, you draft the guy who's going to make these kind of throws every now and then. So you're pretty much accepting he's going to do these things.
See, and like I was saying, 9 out of 10 times this is going to result into a bad thing. Well, 9 out of 10 times it was resulting into a good thing for Oklahoma. And that's why it's I hate knocking him for it, because most of the time he did it, it wound up working out for him.
Again, but again, Adrian, and this is where you and me kind of having a little bit of a difference of opinion right here, and that's good. That's good for us, right? I would say it's not about what he does in college. It's about, can he do the same thing in the NFL? And the answer to me is no.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Any other quarterback, I hate it. But with Baker, I'm like, okay, well, if he's doing it consistently, maybe he can do it in the NFL. But that's a maybe. That doesn't mean he's going to do it. So we'll see if he does. I mean, this is something that you're going to have to get accustomed to. If you're an NFL team, you're going to get frustrated with him if it's not going to work out.
Totally fair, Adrian. Totally fair.
Yeah. All right. One more thing. This is another one where, we talk about the feet again. Now, he's accurate on this ball, but, same kind of deal as the other clip. Feet aren't set properly.
Feet don't get set. He's also doesn't really get a perfect throwing window because his feet aren't set. And then that kind of turns into a little bit of a jump pass situation here. Now, Baker, nowhere near as arm talented as Stafford, don't get me wrong. But he does have enough accuracy to be able to make throws where his feet aren't set underneath him, where he's off balance. He's not having his base underneath him. Again, can he do it? Yes. Do I want to see him consistently do it? Absolutely not.
Yeah. All right, so last clip here, and again, it's we hate knocking him for this because he really didn't make a lot of mistakes at Oklahoma, didn't throw a lot of picks. but this is one of the rare picks that he threw.
Yeah, this is the boneheaded one, man. I mean, forcing into triple coverage here, it's just one of those things I'm looking at. I'm just like, look, you're up 3 with 3 minutes left in the biggest rivalry away and 3rd and goal. Don't force this. Scramble, go kick the field goal. It's a force. I mean, there's no other way to word this.
Yep. And you know what it probably is? Look at that score, 55-52. He's thinking if they settle for 3, they're going to lose the football game.
And that's fair.
That's what I'm guessing. Not saying that he should have done it. That's what I'm just thinking what his thought process is.
You're not wrong, Adrian, because you know what? If my defense gave up 50-plus points, I should lose every single time. So I think I understand where you're coming from. The other thing I will say, this is absolutely a pre-snap decision. Absolutely decides the whole way, stares us down the whole way. This is where I'm throwing the football. But let me kind of go some stats here. Baker has thrown a total of 11,157 pass attempts during college. He only has 21 interceptions. That makes up less than 2% of his passes attempted were actually picked off. Does that mean they're all good throws, the other 98%? Absolutely not. I'm not saying that. But it's hard for me to say Baker is a guy who takes as many chances, a la Sam Darnold takes far more chances than Baker does. Flip side of this, if I go to Anthony Beck's kind of mindset, and I don't think he's wrong, the offense is designed to never have double coverage because you're putting 4 or 5 receivers on the field at a time.
Yeah. And let's kind of further that discussion a little bit because you talk about this scheme, and there have been several examples where Oklahoma quarterbacks haven't been successful. Obviously, they've changed coaches now, but it's the same kind of scheme. So, like, you take a guy like Jason White, for example. I mean, the gaudy stats that he put up. So is that going to be something that you think is going to hurt Baker Mayfield at the next level? Is he going to bust because of this? Or do you think that his tape was impressive enough that he can be okay?
I think it depends on how big is the ego of the coach that drafts him, to be completely honest. Because my critique that I had on Deshaun Watson was his ability isn't necessarily the traditional NFL quarterback. But what did Bill O'Brien do? He built an offense around him. And then Deshaun Watson should have been the rookie of the year last year if he stayed healthy.
Yep.
If Baker goes somewhere and you have a coach who says, Baker, here's the deal. I want you to tell me what you're comfortable with. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl because his head coach said, Nick, let's talk about what you're comfortable with. If you go to a coach who's comfortable like that and kind of playing a little more of the back seat role and letting your quarterback kind of design a little more of your offense, I think Baker absolutely could be, very successful. Problem is those Nick Foles and Deshaun Watson situations are absolutely the exception to the rule. They are not the primary thing, which I think is flat out stupid. But the simple fact remains, guys, is NFL quarterbacks, they hand a player a roster, or they hand a player, a playbook, and they say, learn this. It's my way or the highway, and that's just the truth of it.
Yeah, you're either going to get a guy like Chip Kelly, a stubborn piece of shit who is going to say, all right, this is my offense, this is what you're going to run, or you're going to get a guy like a Bill O'Brien or Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson, obviously a former quarterback, and O'Brien known as being a quarterback guru that's going to be able to take that quarterback strengths and put it in the offense. I mean, Deshaun Watson was my number 1 quarterback last year, but I had concerns too because he was only reading one side of the field during his days at Clemson. So, we'll kind of see. I mean, that's a really, really good point. I like that point by you. You got to have the right coach in this situation.
And it's a shame, Adrian, because I would have loved to see him with, the offensive staff. Obviously, a lot of those guys are Eagles ties in Minnesota, or an offensive staff in Indianapolis, Eagles ties as well. Andy Reid, another one of those guys who kind of says, hey, let me kind of work around my quarterback. Obviously, the Eagles do that very well. There's a lot of teams in the league, Houston Texans, that will work around their quarterback. New Orleans Saints, Sean Payton works around their quarterback. But if he goes somewhere that says, this is my offense, you're going to do this, and that's it, he could be a bust. And that's not fair for him. That's what makes it so difficult when we're trying to project which player is going to be successful in the NFL. There's millions of variables that go on around that quarterback or that player that are outside of their control. And unfortunately, playbook and scheme is probably the biggest one.
Yeah. All right, where does he get drafted? Is he going top 5?
Yeah, he does. I think he ends up going in that top six situation. You look here, 1, you have a quarterback. Cleveland's going quarterback, so there's 1 gone. 3, the Jets are going quarterback. There's another 1 gone. I think, I think if Baker's on the block when the Broncos pick, I think he's gone there. I think the Jets could take him too. I actually like Baker more than Rosen. I like Baker more because of his ability to make things happen with his feet. Rosen, he has to be perfect in the pocket, and if it's not perfect around him, I don't love him. Obviously, his upside is much higher, but I would say this. I think Baker's floor is pretty high. I don't think Baker's one of those guys who's not going to be in the league in a couple of years. Maybe he won't be a Pro Bowl level guy, but I think Baker's still going to be in the league, and after his second and third contract, I could see some of these other guys not be. So I think Baker maybe has a lower ceiling but a higher floor.
I like that. And he's my number 3 guy, so I'm kind of with you in the sense that I got him ahead of Rosen. I have concerns about Rosen. We'll kind of get into that in our top 5 discussion. So, all right, who's your player comparison? I struggled a little bit with Romo, but I got it right with Sam Darnold, so I got it right on the first try. And then Jay Cutler I got right away with Josh Rosen. So we'll see if I can get Baker Mayfield.
Okay. I'm not going to tell you this. I'm going to kind of walk you through this. Guy played 11 years in the NFL.
Okay.
Is the exact same size as Baker. Okay, so around that 6'1" height. Okay. 11 years in the NFL, 4-time Pro Bowler. And when he went to the Pro Bowl, he was elected the Pro Bowl. It was not one of those, oh, well, Brady dropped out, so I got the Pro Bowl. No, 4 times. He was a true elected Pro Bowler. So far, Adrian, and then let me kind of throw up some other numbers here. Let's see here. Passing yards, 25,537 passing yards. So far, Adrian, would you say an NFL quarterback who played for 11 years with 4 Pro Bowls and 25,000 passing yards is a successful NFL quarterback?
I would say that this guy probably played in the 80s.
Okay. You're wrong there. But
90s?
if I were to tell you these numbers, would you draft a guy who would be 11-year starting quarterback, 4-time Pro Bowler, and 25,000 yards? Would you draft that guy in the top 8?
Yes.
Okay. He's also another guy. He's a little bit fiery. Not as fiery as like a Rivers, although I think Baker's personality is closer to Rivers than this guy. It's a little bit fiery. Teammates seem to love him. Competitors seem to have an issue with him. He could make things happen with his feet. Didn't win a Super Bowl, but had a lot of winning teams. Wasn't a Michael Vick level athlete, but was able to move around in the pocket and make throws off script and also be able to rush a little bit, but he was never going to be a guy you would think is going to run for 100 yards a game.
Did he play in the Michael Vick era?
He did.
Okay. This is difficult. So he played from
99 to 2009.
Whew. This is difficult. See, I got Jay Cutler right away. I'm struggling with this one. He didn't get to a Super Bowl. He got to 4 Pro Bowls. Jake Plummer.
Ooh, I like your train of thought.
Because he's bigger than him. He's not 6'1".
I like your train of thought, but no. All right,
Plummer had an attitude, and he was a little bit scrambling guy. But I don't know if he would have went to 4 Pro Bowls.
No.
So I didn't get it on the first try this time.
Let me walk you backwards through the teams he played for. In 2009, he played with the Eagles. Then he played –
Jeff Garcia.
Boom, Jeff Garcia.
I like that one. That's a good one. Yeah. See, you're good with your comparisons, man.
Smaller guy, able to make throws off balance. Do I think Baker's ever going to be an all-pro level, like the best quarterback in the NFL? I don't think so. But you know what? If you told me I could have a guy who's going to play for 10 years in the NFL, be a starter for most of those times, playing 4 Pro Bowls, throw for 25,000 yards, yeah, that sounds like a guy who should be drafted in the top 8.
Yeah. It's like 25,000 yards almost isn't that much anymore because guys throwing for like 4,000 yards every year. It's crazy, man.
I know. It's all relative, you know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, as far as like playing style, that's where I see the comparison all day long. I think that their style and their size makes it very, very even. Garcia was another guy. He had a pretty big arm. I think Baker definitely has a bigger arm of the two, but he's more of an accurate guy. So I think that comparison is pretty fair.
I like that. That's like a perfect to a T comparison. It would have taken me a while to get to Jeff Garcia, but I like that because I think like more modern than past, I guess. But Yeah, Jeff Garcia. That's right to a T. If you wouldn't have told me the Eagles, I probably would have taken a little longer. But once you said Eagles, it was pretty easy.
Yeah, played with the Eagles, the Bucks, Detroit, Cleveland, and San Francisco. Obviously, San Francisco is where he's most notably known for.
Yep. And I don't think he started until he was like 27, 28 in San Francisco. It was like
because he played in Canada for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. That's it for this one. That's Brendan Albert. I'm Adrian Fedke. We'll see if you guys get Jeff Garcia right.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.